All right, so today I've got Lindsay with me and we're going to do a makeup lesson. She's getting married in 10 days? 10 days. And it's a lovely outdoor wedding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's got a beautiful vintage dress, and we're going to do a very natural, pretty makeup because she's going to be applying this herself. So we're going to keep it nice and fresh, right?
Yeah.
And you normally wear what for like base makeup or foundation?
I don't wear anything. I just wear mascara and then maybe a bit of blush and lipstick.
We're going to work with, for the most part, what Lindsay's got for makeup, which I'll show you guys in a second, and then I'll be giving her a few recommendations of things she can add into that. And we're just going to get started. Alright, so this is Lindsay's makeup here. We've got for skincare some eye makeup removers, some SPF, and some good old 8-hour cream. And she's got a nice balm that she's liking. A couple of blushes here. Clearly this is the favorite. For eyeshadows, this is probably the palette that we'll end up using for the most part, maybe a little bit of this. Eyeliners, we've got a couple of pencils, a brown, a blue, and then the one she's been using most lately, and what I would probably recommend anyways, is a gel liner. This one is the L'Oreal, and dark slate, so it's a gray color. Mascara, she's got a voluminous here, and then she's been using this Clarins Wonder Perfect mascara, which is a water resistant or waterproof, so we're not going to change anything about that, like in that. This is all she has as far as complexion makeup, is a Vichy kind of spot treatment, which is a little bit on the orange side, so we might keep away from that one. And then a rather old, she's had it for a while here, Select Moisture Cover in NC15, so that gives you an idea of kind of fairness of skin tone. Couple of glosses and a fair amount of lipsticks. Alright, recommendations. I'm going to talk to her a little bit about, as far as the base, a foundation primer. I've already discussed SPF with her as she is having an outdoor wedding. We're going to bump it up from her usual 15, and she's going to maybe try this 60 bad boy out here just to make sure we're not getting a sunburn. And then we're going to talk about a foundation primer perhaps, if she does intend to wear more of a foundation. If she does go for a foundation, we're going to use more of this tinted moisturizer idea. I was also telling her if we end up getting her a different concealer, she can just add a little bit of moisturizer or SPF into this and dilute it down and use that as a tinted moisturizer. For the under eye area, just to bounce the light a little bit, we're going to want to use an illuminating pen. This one is the Maybelline Dream Lumi. Clinique has the airbrush one that is lovely as well, so that'll be some of my recommendations. Of course, just a nice translucent powder to add into the collection to make sure that there's no nasty shine in photography. And then to add some pretty shine, we're going to talk about highlighters. So maybe something like the Benefit High Beam if we're considering more of a cream product. Or my always talked about and much loved Kevyn Aucoin Illuminating Candlelit Powder. For blush, she does have the powder blush here, but we're also going to play around maybe with some cream blushes. And I really like this Stila Gladiola, and this is lip or cheek. Pretty much any cream product you can use lip or cheek. Or like the NYX. This one might end up being a little bit too pinky. But this sort of product, a nice cream texture. So I'm going to use the Laura Mercier Foundation Primer. This is just the basic one. It's not illuminating. It's not oil-free, but Lindsay has a drier skin type, so this would be the one I would use anyways. How do you feel about like shimmer or that sort of thing on your skin for your wedding day?
I'm not very excited about it.
So
I'm not completely opposed to it, but my preference is not.
You're more a fan of the kind of natural finish on a skin.
Yes.
If it's going to be dewy, it's your own natural,
natural dew. Yeah.
So when using a primer, we just want to put that on the face, and then we're going to leave it to set on there for a few minutes, because if we were to put the foundation over top of it right away, it would just kind of all mix together. We want it to kind of like set and act as that barrier to keep the foundation on a bit longer. While that's setting on the skin, I'm going to just fill in a tiny bit in the brow. She's got a really nice shape as it is. I'm just going to fill in a little bit of the spots that are less full. Pencils like this that are really, really waxy and dry, this one's by Marcelle and it's blonde, are sometimes a little bit easier to work with and they last a bit longer. Lightly chip into the skin without it, you know, like looking so heavy. I'm not going to change the shape at all because I think you got a really nice shape going on here, and I love how clean it is through the top. I'm just going to fill in a little bit through the bottom here, out to your arch, and then maybe a tiny bit out on the end because I usually just can't help myself. So you can see on this side we've just got that kind of like intensity and a bit of a gap, whereas this one we just filled it in a tiny bit without really altering the shape too much. Alright, I'm going to use a little bit of the Becca Ultra Sheer Foundation. This one has an SPF of 25 and this color is Nude. I'm using a brush to apply the foundation purely for the purpose of filming to get a bit more coverage. I did tell Lindsay that if she's going to use a foundation, using her fingers is perfectly fine and will actually keep it a little bit more sheer and natural looking. I'm going to use the Dream Lumi Maybelline Radiant Concealer. So I'm just taking that where I see that little bit of blueness. Blink away, don't worry about it, I'm used to working around it. Good. Nice.
My eyelids are actually one of my most sensitive parts of my skin, and it often can be very dry. Like sometimes I might get some eczema on my eyelid. So just to say that kind of quality product is
a bit better around the eyes. So this Nars Pro Prime, I love.
Okay.
It's really, really great. You can get Nars at Sephora. You can also get Nars at the Bay. Some of the Bays have it as well.
Okay.
And close for me. So I'm just going to lift up a little bit so that I make sure that I'm getting it over the whole lid and it's not going in any creases. I'm just putting like a light layer all over the eye, all the way up to the brow bone. Because this is clear, you don't really have to worry about where you're getting it. You just want to make sure that it's getting everywhere. And it might feel a little bit tacky to start with, and then it will set.
Okay.
If you find that you've applied a little bit too much primer on the eyelid, using your finger to just kind of tap over top will absorb the excess product and help blend out. Alright, so now we're going to take from her Revlon Customized palette. This is the Natural Glamorous palette. We're going to take this light shade from the middle. And I'm going to put that all over the lid. So it's got a bit of shimmer to it, right? You like that? Yeah. Good. And a little bit on the brow bone. I don't want to put crazy amounts of it on the brow bone, just enough so that it kind of blends all over the eyelid and we're getting a nice evenness of tone and a nice even area to blend on top of. After that shadow's really grabbed onto that primer, I like to take the brush and buff all over the lid to remove excess so there's no fallout. Next I'm going to take this light brown shade for a contour color, and we're just going to use this to kind of shape the crease of your eye for when photographs happen, it makes this part protrude a little bit and makes this part protrude a little bit and that one sink in, just to give some definition there. So right where the squishy bit of your eye is, you want to take that just lightly through the crease, and it's fading away to almost nothing at that outside edge. And same thing at this outer edge. It's just going to start to shape in that eye a little bit. I'm also just going to add a little bit of Wedge, just because that's going quite shimmery with the shimmery base. So Wedge is a matte light brown color. Same spot that I did before. This is just going to be a little bit more intense without being so shimmery. When you're applying your contour shade, you really want to let the brush do the work for you. So this is Lindsay's own brush, and it's great because it's fluffy, but it's a little bit pointed to get right in there. All right, now we're going to go into this darker brown here. I might actually mix it with a little bit of the gray if it's not intense enough. I'm just kind of taking a stiff, smaller brush. There we go. I'm going to take this at this outside corner and just right against that lash line, and then just start to fade it up a little bit over that outside corner of the eye. We can always add more, but it's best to start off light.
Yeah, I mean that palette is like very shimmery. It wasn't I didn't notice it was shimmery when I bought it, and
it's really hard to find matte palettes, like especially in the drugstore. It's really, really tough. If you can, then right on. Sometimes Wet n Wild has them. Okay. NYX actually has some decent ones. And everything we're doing here, you could do the exact same thing, but with matte colors. Right. If you're wanting a little bit more of a classic look. Very, very lightly on your eye. Oh, here, sorry, well, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, and it's just halfway across the lid there.
Kind of like that?
Yeah, and you can blend it up a little bit higher with that brush. Just so we are getting some of the product up in that area. And this is what I would say too, is just bring it up a little bit, look into the mirror as I'm doing this to you, a little bit further out here, and a little bit more right at that outside corner. And by a little bit more, I mean just that much. Yeah. Like that was it, just so that you're getting complete all the way to the outside corner of your eye. Okay. You know where to stop because it's where your lashes stop. Okay. So everywhere you see lashes, bring it out to there, and then a tiny bit up in that outside corner, just so you're getting that kind of bigger elongation of the eye. Yes. And the full impact of it.
That makes sense.
Good. With just a little bit of our highlight color, the one that we originally put on, and I like to go back and put just a little bit more of it right on, close for me, the inside corner of the lid, just because it kind of gets blended away sometimes, and we like that nice light brightness. Having that nice, oh, I was about to do your side. Having that nice light brightness there gives us the contrast at the outside edge that we want. And then you can also just take that same color and a little bit, I don't like to go overboard with this, but it is nice, just on that inner tear duct. Tiny bit on that inner tear duct will help brighten up the eye. But don't go overboard with it. People go overboard with it and then they look like, I don't know, 80s. Perfect. Yep, just that much. So I'm going to begin just at kind of the middle of the eye and work outwards, getting it really nice and close down to that lash line, but I'm bringing it up a little bit at this outside edge. We didn't flick the liner out at all, we just kind of stopped where her natural lashes ended. If we had brought it out farther than that, it would have been a little bit too cat eye for this look. I'm just going to use an angled brush and soften over top that edge. There was no eyeshadow on the brush. I was just using it to blend out that liner a little bit. Often it's more difficult to get a small line than a large line with these products. So if you make a mistake and it's a bit bigger, you can just use a Q-tip like I was showing Lindsay there to erase any little mistakes. I use the tips of the brush to blend at the lash line and then the side of the brush to flick towards the eyebrow at that outer edge. We're going to take this black color that she has, and this is only going to go at your lashes. Because otherwise it'll start getting really intense and smoky. But this is going to make your lashes look thicker and fuller. A nice, naturally dramatic look is thick, full lashes. And if you're not using false lashes, taking something dark and deep and matte right at that lash line is the next best thing. You want to get it as close to the root of the lash as you can. Does that feel okay?
Yep.
Not pinching you? Nope. Give it a good squeeze, and you can blink like crazy if you want, do whatever you need to do. And then I like to move it out and curl like where the middle of the lash is. Though lash curlers can seem like medieval torture devices, don't be discouraged if you pinch yourself the first couple times you use it, or even after you've been using it a million times. It happens to the best of us. Mascara makes such an impressive difference to the look of your eyes, so don't rush through this step. Really build it up and get the best lashes that you can.
So start at the root.
And then wiggle. Yep. Wiggling the brush will give you the thickest lashes and help to separate at the same time. So I'm just going to take, this is a Shesiedo Corrector pencil. I've recommended you get the Rimmel Scandalize and Nude. It's like my go-to recommendation at this point. Using a skin tone or light eyeliner on the waterline can help downplay any redness that you might have going on and also keep it extra perky and bright looking. And don't worry if it looks a little strong to begin. The more you blink throughout the day, it will seem less obvious and wear down. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of that brown-black combo that we used on the top and take that on the outer third of the lower lash line. You might have noticed I'd put mascara on Lindsay's lower lashes, which are quite nice and full, so I wanted to add a little shadow to further accentuate that. Good, okay, so I'm going to use my Stila Gladiola. It's like worn right off the bottom, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Where you want to put your blush, cream blush especially, is smile a real cheesy smile for me. So right on the apple of the cheek, and you can relax now. And then just kind of blend it towards the top of your cheekbone. Don't bring it too far back down here. Don't bring it too far down there, too far in here. It's kind of just right in here, and then blending the edges of it. When Lindsay was doing her side, she mentioned that it looked a little cakey, so I said using your finger to really sort of melt it into the skin will get rid of that texture. So I'm going to take a little bit of the Rimmel Stay Matte powder and just powder in areas we don't want to get shiny for film. So that would be like the ball of the nose, the very tip there, the upper lip. Oh, this brush is shedding all over you. And a little bit through the forehead. We didn't really do a whole lot of concealing under the eyes, so I'm not too concerned with doing that. If we had to conceal any blemishes, I would put the powder over those as well. But that foundation evened out anything that we needed to, and I'm not really seeing any blemishes on you. I'm going to use the Kevyn Aucoin Candlelight powder, and we're going to take that just on the tops of the cheekbones, just right here. When choosing a highlighter for your wedding day, try to skip heavy frost or glitter products, as it might come off looking greasy in pictures. So we've already put one coat of this Estee Lauder Pure Color Crystal Lipstick in Crystal Coral. I'm going to put just a little bit more on, and then we're done. We avoided using lip liner and lip gloss. That way the lips wouldn't look too overly made up. And I really worked this creamy lipstick into the lip so it would kind of act as a stain and give a nice juicy and fresh sort of finish. All right, so that's it. This is Lindsay's natural wedding makeup, and thanks for watching. Come back again for something new. Bye-bye.